In order to play cancel, you need between 3 and 8 cowpokes, ages 6 and up. Try to find a group of trustworthy people who don't cheat. Unfortunately for today, this group will have to do. The object of this game is to get as few points as possible. All cards marked 0 through 10 are worth the point value of the card. For instance, a 5 would be worth 5 points. Can you guess what 7 would be worth? Cancel cards, the cherry of the bunch, are worth -3. If you end up with a skip card in your formation at the end of the round, it will be added in as a whopping 10 points. This is not good. There is a wild card in the deck. It has a 0-point value at the end of game and can be used to represent any color or any number. There is one +5 card in the deck. If players are generally nice people who don't like to hornswoggle each other, this card can be removed before play starts. This is not the case with these bandits. The +5 card will remain in the deck. 9 cards are dealt face down to each player and placed in 3 rows of 3. Players are not allowed to peek at their cards. All players flip over any 2 of their cards and leave them on the table for all to see. The player to the left of the dealer begins. Each player will choose if he or she wants to take the unknown card at the top of the draw pile or the face-up card in the discard pile. Player uses this card to replace any card in their formation. If the player picks a card from the draw pile and doesn't want to use it, he may throw it in the discard pile and flip over any card of the cards in front of him which are face down. Then the play will continue to the left. If a player gets the same number card, all 4s for instance, in either a vertical or horizontal row, the entire row can be eliminated and thrown in the discard pile. The remaining cards, whether face up or face down, are readjusted into a new formation. This will make the other players madder than a run-over coon. If a player either draws a skip card or turns a card over with the plan to discard it and discovers it is a skip card, she may place it horizontally across the top of any other player's cards. The card will remain until the skipped player's turn. Instead of playing, the skipped player will bury the card in the middle of the discard pile. It cannot be picked up by the next player. Only one skip card can be placed on a player at a time. Other players are allowed to skip that same player before he has a chance to play it, if they choose to do so. If a player draws a +5 card, she may place the card horizontally over the top of another player's formation. In this case, she is still allowed to flip over one of her face-down cards. Look at her grin like a weasel in a henhouse. If she discovers a +5 as her cards are turned over, she may place the card horizontally over the top of another player's formation, in the same way she would remove any other card from her formation. The player who receives a +5 card must hold on to the card for at least one turn. This player may decide to use his turn, drawing or discarding no other cards, to move the +5 card to the top of another player's formation. A +5 is never allowed to be discarded. Because cancel cards are worth -3 points, if a player gets an entire row of cancel cards, he doesn't have to eliminate the row. This guy is so crooked he could swaller nails and spit out corkscrews. Most often, the benefit of having -9 or -6 points outweighs the benefit of having less cards. It is up to the player to make this decision. A player isn't required to flip over a card if he or she doesn't want to do so. They may simply discard any cards without making changes to their formation. A round ends when any player has turned all the cards in front of him face up. At this point in time, every other player will get one additional turn. Once all cards have been turned face up, regardless of the number of cards present, 9, 6, 4, or 2, are the same color, the total score for that player for that round is 0. When you're finally finished with the fancy figuring, make sure you keep track of the score. As you can see, we've got one happy little cowpoke here and 3 others who want to pound them like a nail that keeps poking you when you use the privy. If you have the intestinal fortitude to continue, carry on playing round after round until a player scores more than 100 points. If a player reaches exactly 100 points, that player goes back to 0 and continues playing. For those of you who don't know dung from wild honey, the lowest score wins and the person with the highest score loses.